The city of Waterford is the oldest city in Ireland. It boasts a long history of Christianity and a museum that holds an important relic of the true cross.
What's fascinating is that it is said to have been given directly by the Pope to the King of Ireland, and Rome, as we know, had access to relics from Jerusalem.
Archaeologist Georges Kazan is joined by scientist Tom Hyam. He is also from Oxford University in England, and he will put the relic to the test.
For the first time in history, we're able to place these relics in their proper time and proper date.
The Waterford Cross is on loan to the Medieval Museum from the Roman Catholic Archdiocese. And museum curator Eamon McMeany has secured their permission to test it.
And the relic is just inside this.
It's just inside this.
Is that a modern script or an ancient script?
No, it's a 12th century script. It says a piece of the wood of the true cross, and it was given to the King of Munster by the Pope in 1110.
So we can date it at least back to 1110.
The cross is believed to be cedar wood, and since its arrival in Ireland, it has been carved up further to share with different churches.
You can see it quite plainly here in the back.
Oh, wow.
Again, you can see a sample was taken from here.
What kind of information do you have to say that this cross may have come from Jerusalem?
Well, to my knowledge, cedar wood certainly wasn't available in Ireland in the 12th century. It had to come from the Middle East somewhere, the Lebanon or Israel.
But could this piece of wood come from 1st century Jerusalem? The time has come to find out. This museum in Waterford, Ireland, claims to hold a piece of the actual cross that crucified Jesus. The true cross, a relic said to have been discovered by the Empress Helena 300 years after Christ's death. 800 years after that, the Pope would give this piece of it to the King of Ireland.
When the Pope gives you a relic of the true cross, he's almost saying, you know, you're a real king, you've got that legitimacy, you've got that power.
Well, I don't know, that does look...
For the first time in history, a prized relic of the true cross will be carbon dated. Professor Tom Hyam has over 20 years' experience.
There's quite a lot of what looks like lacquer that's across the top of the wood, and lacquer will have a different radiocarbon concentration, probably to the age of the wood. But fortunately, pieces of material have been taken, and that exposes the actual wood. So that's a good place for us to take the sample from.
The procedure should leave little perceptible trace of damage, in theory. But it's a nerve-wracking business.
Just going to take a small bit from here.
Yes, Tom, as small as possible, very, very small piece. Yeah.
We only need about 10 milligrams.
That's equivalent to a few grains of salt. But this relic has been venerated here for almost 1,000 years. Every speck counts.
It's very, very hard, this wood.
Could that mean anything to do with its age?
Possibly. I mean, it actually looks old, this wood. It just, it looks aged. So far, so good.
Tom is satisfied with his sample. Now they can head back to the lab to test for the first time this piece of the true cross. Eighth century, before the Waterford Cross arrived in Ireland, Helena will continue her tour of the Holy Land. And with the backing of her son, the Emperor Constantine, she will transform the landscape. She builds churches on the site of Christ's birth in Bethlehem, and one to commemorate his last moments on earth.
Constantine made it legal to practice Christianity. Helena gave Christians places to practice Christianity. Before her arrival, there were no Christian buildings in this land. Christians met here on the Mount of Olives to commemorate Jesus' ascension, but they met secretly, we're told, in caves. After Helena, a structure is built on this site, and Christians can come here publicly and openly to remember this important part of their faith.
For a religion that had been illegal for over 200 years, it's a defining moment.
She makes the Holy Land holy, and the churches that she built are ways of literally cementing in the ground Christianity in the Holy Land.
It reinstates it as the place where people want to go and remember Jesus' passion.
Arguably, Helena and Constantine's biggest contribution to Jerusalem is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, said to be built on the site they believed was Golgotha, the place where Jesus was executed. But did they get the location right?
Based on the archaeological evidence, this would be a logical place. It was just outside the city walls, and Romans liked that for crucifixion. So right now, there's no better candidate than right here.
The church has been rebuilt several times, but its core goes back to the 4th century.
We are deep, deep inside the lowest level of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And this is the place where tradition says Helena found the true cross.
After her tour of the Holy Land, Helena begins the long journey home. But did she do so, as legend says, with a piece of the cross Jesus died on? Dr. Georges Kazan heads into the lab to carbon date for the first time a relic of the true cross to find out once and for all. In 328 AD, the Empress Helena returned to Rome from the Holy Land. According to church history, her pilgrimage to find the cross that Jesus died on is complete. But her triumph will be short-lived.
Helena dies shortly after returning from the Holy Land.
It's incredible to think about the power of this one woman's spiritual drive and the impact that it's had on human history.
Her influence upon her son Constantine will change the fate of the Roman Empire and the fate of Christianity.
A decade after her death, her son Constantine, now an old man, falls ill. After a lifetime of championing the cause of Christianity, he takes the final step and asks to be baptized.
There was so much of Constantine's life that didn't line up with being a Christian. I mean, he killed so many people, and he was just a violent man. But something I believe changed in the last year of his life. I think he had a full conversion.
In 337 AD, Constantine the Great, as he will come to be known, dies.
With Constantine and Helena, Helena, what we're seeing is Christianity moving out of the shadows into the mainstream, but now into the dominant position. It's not just a religion, it's the religion. Now the Roman Empire is going to be Christian. The known world's going to be Christian.
But the question remains, did Helena actually discover the cross Jesus was crucified on? At the Oxford University Radiocarbon Accelerator Lab, archaeologist Dr. Georges Kazan and Professor Tom Hyam are about to take a step closer to solving this mystery by carbon dating a fragment of the true cross given to the King of Ireland by the Pope in 1100 AD.
The true cross is the most important relic. So to have it tested in this way, which could reveal that the story is potentially true, is fascinating.
This is the first time we've actually, to our knowledge, directly dated a piece of the true cross. Radiocarbon is a complex method involving a series of stages. The first of which is to pre-clean and pre-treat the sample to remove any contaminating carbon that could alter the result. And the final stage of the process is the particle accelerator, which enables us to measure individual particles of carbon-14. The more radiocarbon there is, the more recent the sample, and the less radiocarbon, the older it is. We can date anything from the present day back to about 50,000 years ago.
In less than 20 minutes, they may solve an enigma that dates back 2,000 years.
This should just about be finished now. Let's just have a look and see what we can see.
Could the Waterford cross be part of the cross Helena is said to have discovered?
Let's just have a look and see what the result is. We can see that here.
This relic of the true cross dates from 1100 AD.
That's not the age of the true cross.
Okay, maybe around 1100.
It's not the date they were hoping for, but it does reveal the relic's rich history.
It's very interesting because it seems to match in with the date of the script on the back of the reliquary. This is a time when the cross, the symbol of the cross and the relic of the cross were exceptionally important for the spread of Christianity. So the fact that this relic was created around that time goes to support how important that phenomenon was.
For hundreds of years after the legend of Helena's discovery, the true cross continued to play a central role in the story of Christianity. And though this relic is only 1,000 years old, others may prove far older.
This is the first step in a long journey to investigate more relics of this type and to see if any of them could go back as far as the time of Helena, or maybe even the time of Christ.
At the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, they continue to celebrate Helena's discovery of the true cross. In a church she built, in a city she reclaimed.
Helena is the person who takes Jerusalem from a sleepy provincial capital and turns it into this place that we're all looking to for a spiritual message.
For centuries, devoted pilgrims have come here to mark their faith with a symbol now recognized the world over.
At the time of Jesus, a cross was a very negative image. It was a place of brutal, horrible execution and death.